I'm about community, learning, discussion, respect, integrity, truth, science, and discovery. Welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Hello, and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 40. I know, right? It's been a long journey on the blog page, but here we are on episode 40, and we're going to be talking about dreams and the paranormal. This has been somewhat of a popular topic. I know a lot of people believe that they have spirit encounters and paranormal encounters in their sleep. And what's fascinating about it is there is much still to learn about what dreaming is and what the conscious state goes through during that state. You know, the science is getting somewhere, but there's a lot of unknowns. So what I'm trying to say is that there's going to be a lot of speculation and conjecture, but I think that it'll be an interesting topic. I think that we will learn some things from each other and maybe explore a little bit down the rabbit hole when it comes to dreams. Now, I happen to know some things neurologically about dreams that, you know, through my research and study over the years, and we'll talk about that. We're going to go to the girls here real quick. Girls, are you ready to talk about this tonight?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are you sure? All right. So, is this like an important or of interest to you, this topic at all?
To me, it is.
Well, duh, right?
Right.
So, so why is it important to you, Missy? Why is it important?
Because I have these dreams.
You have dreams about spirits
Yes.
all the time, pretty much,
Yes.
right? So, Jess, what about you? I mean, do you have dreams that you think that are paranormal?
I believe I recently I have, and I believe that they are connected. But I mean, I always found dreams so fascinating, and so just trying to find the meaning behind them.
Right, the symbolism. It seems like it's symbolic. Yeah, that's when that's when it gets subjective. So we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to go back to the comments. So please, if you have a question for me concerning the topics of dreams and the paranormal, by all means, put it in the comments. We will get to them periodically through the show. Just be patient. We'll have Jess and Missy read them off. If you want to be shouted out during the show, just say hi or make a comment so we can see you there in the comments, and we'll shout you out through the course of the show as well. And please feel free to share this video with your friends and invite as many that you think would like to watch and join in this discussion tonight. Thanks, Michael Allen Phillips, for subscribing. We see you there. All right. Okay. So dreams have been a subject of interest and fascination to our culture since the dawn of our existence in recorded history, right? And there's been a lot of medicines and a lot of, let's just say, belief systems kind of surrounding dreams. Even when it gets into the 19th and 20th century and on, psychology has, you know, taken upon the mystery of trying to discover what dreams mean with Sigmund Freud and a lot of other psychology out there. So there's a lot to think about and speculate about dreams. There's a lot to say. But I think we universally can agree that our brain changes, our perception changes when we fall asleep. It seems like everything that we regress, everything that we hold back and push down seems to come bubbling up. our fears, our desires, our instincts, and much, much more. Our creative selves seem to blossom when we dream. And it's interesting that we close our eyes, we're not seeing or hearing anything, and we produce chemicals that paralyze our body for the most part. We still have a very wakeful and vivid experience. Where do these experiences come from? Where do these visions and sounds come from? Well, we know that most of them come from the brain, but the question tonight is, do some of them come from spiritual sources and spiritual stimulus? And I believe it is possible. And I'm going to tell you why. But first, I'm going to tell you that it is very difficult to know whether a dream is from some type of spiritual source or from your own mind. There are studies out there to suggest that people can communicate through dreams. And we can talk about that if you want to. But the main topic is, can dreams be paranormal? So let's look at the science behind what I know. And if you know a lot about the science of dreams, please, by all means, write your thoughts and stuff in the comments. The brain goes through different changes as it goes through this process that we call sleep. The brain waves change and they fluctuate throughout the night. They don't stay the same like they do when we're awake. And that's interesting. They kind of go through alpha, beta, and gamma stages. If you're looking at a EEG, you can see the brain waves fluctuate throughout the night. And then we get to the stage called REM, which is very similar to our wakeful consciousness, but isn't conscious. And that's when you get the rapid eye movement, and a lot of dreams occur there. A lot of disturbances in people's sleep can cause a lot of health issues and psychological issues and problems in your health. So that tends to tell me that sleep is not only vital for our health, but for, it's a normal process and mechanic of our consciousness. And we don't really understand why. We must need some transition into ourselves to kind of weed out and process all the stuff that we regress and hold down in our brains so we can make room for more. So that could be an interesting way to look at it. Now, when we are in a dream state, we tend to not be as judgmental. Our ego seems to slip away, and we seem to have different experiences and different thoughts than we would have otherwise, right? So let's talk about that for a moment. When we dream, we live out fantasy, we live out fears, and we live out ambitions. So is it possible that during our wakeful, consciousness, we experience the paranormal, but we block it out? I believe that most of all of us have some type of psychic ability, but we do not use it. We, repress it, we block it out. But that means that stimulus has to go somewhere. It could go down into our brain. And to get a little bit neurological in you guys, there's this part of your brainstem called the reticular formation. Okay? The reticular formation is deep within the brainstem in the middle brain, and it holds a lot of the stuff that we don't tend to use in our consciousness. But during sleep, this part of the brain is very active. So a lot of scientists have suggested that we store a lot of information and data in the reticular formation. The reticular formation goes up and connects to the third eye, the pineal gland, the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and other parts of the limbic system as well. So this can stimulate parts of the brain that allow us to, even the visual cortex, it can see things, hear things, etc. So we could be experiencing some things that we experience when we're awake, but we're remembering them. But having things come to us in real time in our dream is the question. Can loved ones come to us in our sleep to communicate? It is very possible because the consciousness is very tricky. It's almost like it's tailored to take in the information that we feel is necessary. We filter out a lot of things. We can be filtering out a lot of messages from the deceased, from the departed, and beyond. But when we're asleep, like I said before, we tend to let those filters go. And some things can slip in. Now, what's interesting is a lot of people believe that they can travel in their sleep. They can go to other planes of existence and even places in our plane of existence that we live in right now. That's very, very interesting, right? So then we can start considering possibilities of communicating with other people while they sleep or while they're awake. The possibilities are almost endless. So we're going to talk about when you dream about someone who has passed, or if you dream about an entity that is something that you can consider paranormal, is it a dream or is it paranormal? There's really no way we can determine that like we tried to determine it through paranormal investigation. So we're going to talk about all those interesting things tonight. I think that we can all agree that no one really knows for sure. I mean, our faith and belief in such things can be strong and it can mean something very powerful to us. But I think a healthy bit of skepticism for certain dreams is the way to go, because our minds are very powerful. If we're thinking about the paranormal all the time and thinking about ghost spirits all the time, we can have dreams about ghost spirits and the paranormal. I do that all the time. I constantly think about the paranormal. I constantly think about the dead, spirits, and everything like that. So I dream about it a lot. So I know that a lot of times when I dream about those things, it's just my imagination. So I want to ask you guys, have you ever had dreams that you thought were paranormal? And if so, why? Have you ever had dreams that involved the paranormal subject matter, but you think it's just your imagination? I want to know what you initially think about that. So, girls, real quick, let's do some shout outs. We'll start with Missy. And once we do the shout outs on both Facebook and YouTube, we will start seeing if there's any questions.
Okay, I have Becky Compton, I have Daniel Everson, I have Jamie Hunt, I have Heather Elliott, I have Derek Schreiner, I have Sandy Griffith, I have Robert Sanford. This is first time watching. I have Josh Bender. I know I'm missing some. I have Valerie Wright, Josh Fritz, 2D Spoon, Dan Porter, Chris Sanders, and Christy Brown, and Kathy Gass. I don't know how to say her last name, and I'm not going to butcher it. Teresa Hyatt. I think that's it for right now.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Who do we have over there on YouTube's? Okay. We can't hear her. She must be on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was just saying, you have to excuse me. It's a new setup, and I'm not used to it.
Okay.
We have Craig Williams, Michael Phillips, Glenda, Spirit Stalker, Jen Rogue, and Eric Weiss, and Sandy Griffin.
Sweet. Do we have any questions yet on the YouTube side?
Yes. Okay. Eric asked, and I might mess this question up. Prophet dream like Edgar cadence or see
Casey.
spirits.
Edgar Casey. Mm-hmm.
And see spirits like sleep paralysis.
Okay, read that again.
Prophet dreams like Edgar Casey or see spirits like sleep paralysis. That was a question.
I don't understand the question at all.
Yeah, I was kind of confused, but I was hoping that you would get it. Craig also asked, can the paranormal connect with us when we are daydreaming as well as when we have a dream at night?
That's a good, very, very good question. I think that they can, and I think that they do. But like I said before, it's very hard to tell sometimes. And I think we need to really talk about why it's, hard. Because we just really don't know. We just don't know. And I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to fix my screen. The graphics are all out of whack. We're trying to use Skype tonight, so this is why you're seeing me monkey around with it. Let me click on my webcam, move that over. There we go. Okay. When you're daydreaming, your mind does go through some type of change. You will be awake, but then your mind really starts to drift off. It happens a lot when we are doing something that's normal and routine, like driving to work. If you have a long commute and you do it all the time, you can kind of daydream and slip away, and you start imagining things. If you're constantly dwelling on something and something comes to you spiritually, it's very possible. But I really have to hear the scenario to know or to answer that question specifically. So if they can be a little bit more specific, I could probably answer it a little better. But I think it is definitely possible.
Okay. Eric said, which is the subject? What type of dreams discussion? Working on speaking better English, he promises. So I think what he was just trying to figure out what type of dreams that we were, discussing on the show. So I just put dreams in general.
Yeah, we're discussing dreams that might be paranormal or are paranormal. A lot of people believe that they have paranormal encounters while they dream. And there's a lot of debate there. A lot of people would just say, well, there's no way to know. You could be imagining the whole thing. I think that there's weird signs and coincidences that can pop up in your dream that might lead you to believe that it's paranormal. I've had a few, and if here in a minute we can go into them, but we'll go to the questions first before we get into that. Is there any other questions on YouTube?
Not that I'm seeing right now.
Okay. I'm sorry, Jess. The screen is really, really going bonkers on Skype. You're going big and going small and going big and going small, and I think there's no way I can control it right now. But I'm trying to adjust as we go. Okay, Missy.
Yes.
I gotta adjust you too. You're going big and small on me too. I'll just leave it here, and if it goes small on me, I'm just gonna have to leave it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the first question was for me. Robert Sanford asked, first question, Missy, have you experienced sleep paralysis during one of your dreams? If so, do you believe it is in direct relation with spiritual or paranormal contact in some way? No, I have never experienced sleep paralysis.
All right, well, that was easy.
Second one is from Val. She said, do you believe that our deceased loved ones can speak to us in our dreams? I do believe this is possible.
Was she asking you or just me?
She was asking you.
Okay. Yes, I do believe deceased loved ones can speak to in our dream. in dreams, and this is why. My father passed away in 2011, and when that happened, I started getting into the paranormal more. And I started learning about spirit communication more. I started to do it and try it through EVP, and I found out that that's not a way he would communicate at all. And I understood that most spirits do not communicate that way. A lot of people that I've talked to, including myself, when loved ones come to them, if they do not manifest to them as a ghost, a sign will appear. And sometimes it's a bird. Sometimes it's something that would remind you of them. And a lot of times they can come to you in your dream, but only symbolically and at certain times. Now, what happened for me was I had no signs or anything from my father for years. And when I started speaking to my mother again, she was explaining to me when he passed away, he would come to her and would freak out and would, explain to her what his problem was, what he was wanting to communicate. No one could hear him. But then once I started opening up my spiritual sensory perception, that's when that came in. And the specific story was I had went to a residential case with my paranormal team. I had an encounter with an entity or spirit there that had passed away in the house, and I was communicating with this entity, and I was opening up to it, and I was conveying all the information this lady was giving me so I can convey that to the clients. And then after that, I felt very drained, and I had to be cleansed afterward because it was a pretty gnarly feeling after that. The next day, when I went to sleep, I had a dream about my father, and it was, I'm not going to get into detail, but I hadn't dreamed about him at all since he passed. And I thought it was a strange coincidence because since I had an encounter with another deceased person, I feel like I had let down some kind of barrier, some kind of shield that blocked away from all that. But once I let that down, he came through in a dream. And then I had a dream. And it wasn't just like a weird dream about something that happened in the past or anything like that. It conveyed a specific message to me. So I think if it falls within that line, or if it's some type of weird circumstance like that, then sure. Now, if you're already spiritually aware and woke, as they say, you can have these dreams all the time. But make sure that these dreams is something that means something. It's got to have a specific meaning. It's not like it's an open two-way thing that happens whenever you want it all the time. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, and then I didn't see any more questions.
Okay.
But I do have a theory on the daydreaming part of what you were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
I have been told, someone described meditation to me as daydreaming.
Okay.
So if you take that few seconds out of your day and you meditate and something comes through, is that a daydream?
You're asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you.
It definitely could be. It depends on your intent. If you're intending to have visions, it's definitely possible. If you're not intending to have visions and things pop through, yes or no. It depends on how developed your psychic ability is, how in tune you are, and all those things. You, for example, I would say yes, especially if you were intending to do that. So, right. I'm sorry. I had you muted. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
I have a couple more questions if you want me to read them off.
Absolutely.
Craig wanted to know, excuse me, would you be able to tell the difference between having a dream and seeing something paranormal?
Yeah, if you're awake and you've seen something that was anomalous or not normal, then it would be paranormal. If you're asleep, then you have the potential you're going to be dreaming when you're asleep. Is it? I guess that's what he asked.
Okay. He also had a question: can sleepwalking be connected with the paranormal?
I think it could be. Not all the time, but it definitely could be. I think that scientifically speaking, sleep paralysis and sleepwalking is a product of that hormone I cannot think of right now that the brain releases to paralyze the body so it doesn't act out the dreams is disrupted, and not, there's some kind of deficiency there. So it's actually a disorder, scientifically speaking, but science doesn't understand everything. um when you do traveling in your dream, you could be suffering the same thing. So it's very hard for me to know. Like I kind of started off the beginning of this this show is it's very hard to know. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. What do you think, Missy?
What was the question? I was reading my own, the ones that I have. What was the?
Sleepwalking.
I used to sleepwalk before I had the aneurysm. I sleepwalked, and then after I learned to walk again, I did it for a little while, and then I just stopped.
So you walked in your sleep before you learned to walk when you're awake. That's weird. AF.
AF.
Yeah.
Brian joined as well.
I saw that. Thanks for joining us. I have a lot of spooky dreams and even dreams that end up coming true. I suppose that's normal, right? What do you think of predictive dreams? I know some psychics claim to see the future in dreams. Of course, that's Missy's forte. I'll answer it and I'll let Missy answer it. Prophetic dreams are definitely a common subject amongst this topic, and it's more easily validated. I think if you have a dream and it comes true, you will definitely know for sure or not if you're imagining it, right? So, yeah, definitely. Some people have like deja vu, like prophetic dreams, where they'll dream of something. It could be very mundane, very normal, but all of a sudden they'll find themselves in that same scenario when they're awake. It could be some very small detail or something very extravagant and complex. That is a very interesting part of dreams in the paranormal that I think that we should get into. Missy, what's your insight on that?
I have been to locations where I've had dreams before going to the location, and I could tell you the entire layout of the location that I was going to before I went there. And what was in what room specifically. And of course, Derek is with me and he's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I had it all written down on a sheet of paper when we got home, and he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you just did that."
Right. I was wondering if you did that or not. Do you still have that notebook that you write it all down in?
No, I don't. But for an example, I have an example. When we went to Post Town where we met. I wrote down the three entities, the two main entities that were there, their age, around their age, sex, and everything. And he's like, the next day he made me mad or something. I threw my notebook at him. I said, I wrote this down sitting by the pool the other day before we had went. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, are you kidding? I was like, no. And I had girl age 7 fall that she had died in a fall, and he was like, oh my God. He's like, this is not right. Sometimes it just happens.
Right. So you pretty much were picking up on the entities that were there along with what it looked like. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Jess, anything like that happen with you at all?
I'm trying to figure out. I was replying to a comment. What was the question? What?
Any prophetic dreams that like came true, like you didn't really think much about it, but when it came true, it kind of tripped you out or anything?
No, not that I can remember. I just remember a couple months ago with my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother's passed over. And she, I kept having a dream. It was like the same dream that my mom was in this room and my grandmother was standing behind her with her hand on her shoulder. And when I discussed that with my mother, we figured out what room. Like I described a room actually at her work that she would have to sit down, to take a break when she was in between walking and stuff. And that she had a feeling that my grandmother was always behind her. So, I mean, that's like the only thing that I can kind of relate to that. But back to sleepwalking, my daughter used to sleepwalk almost once a week, and she would actually not be herself. I would say, hey, Emma. She'd be like, I'm not Emma. I'm such and such. And like sometimes she would get angry, like, listen, this is who what my name is. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't last, more than 15 minutes or whatever. I just kind of let her do her own thing, then told her to go to the bathroom, and she would go. And then it was like, when she would walk out of the bathroom, it was like she was back to normal. But yeah, she would sit there and argue with me of who she was, name, what she did, and stuff like that. It was pretty, sometimes it was getting kind of sketchy.
Did you think that you were going crazy or something, or?
No, I kind of thought she was. No, I'm just joking. But I mean, she's always done that as a child. Like she would act out her dreams. Sometimes when she would have nightmares, like what were they called? Night terrors with kids. And I mean, there was this one time, and okay, everybody, I love my daughter to death, but there's this one time she was like screaming and I couldn't get her out of it. I couldn't get her to look at me. And she was just rotating her head back and forth with her mouth wide open. I'm like, I was waiting for like flies or something to come out of her mouth. Like I was like, if that happens, she's going out the window. I mean, I love my, but I mean, sometimes it was kind of like, and I didn't know, I mean, she'd done things prior to that, but it was nothing like, and I don't know if that's related to the paranormal or what that was about. And I mean, I can still picture that, but with her sleepwalking, she would tell me names, and some of them was family that she wouldn't have no idea who they were. And it was pretty interesting of some of the stuff that she would come up with. But I mean, that the dream question, I mean, that's the only one that I can vividly remember of, something like with my mom.
Right. Yeah. Not a lot of dreams for me. Pretty much everything that I deal with has been when I was awake primarily. But I think that's fascinating because I do think I block things out a lot of times. And when some things have happened in my dreams, I'm like, our consciousness is so crazy. It's fascinating to me what's possible and what we do to our own perception while we're awake. Like, it just seems like there's so much there going on that we're not aware of sometimes. Let's get back to the comments. Any questions?
I have a question. Becky asked Justin, which I really want to know myself. She said, do you think you can block being able to communicate with some people who are in spirit?
Yeah.
Like in your dreams or?
Yeah, like I was saying before, I think if someone was, trying to communicate with you from the other side, you can block them. Was she asking me if I block them in my dreams?
Yeah. Do you
Yes.
think you can block them in your dreams?
I think it's different and harder. I think that if you are good at lucid dreaming and if you have a lot of control during the dream state, yes, you can. If not, then it would be extremely difficult or maybe not even possible at all. Is that it on Facebook?
I'm Teresa asked, "Do you believe you can make a pact with a loved one from the past that whichever one comes back to Earth first, the other will be their spirit guide?" My daughter said this happened to her with my mother. She never met her in this life, but knows her.
Yeah, I think it's possible. Sure. Absolutely. Um, I believe that our family and loved ones can be with us all the time, and they can definitely communicate and do things like spirit guides would, and not have to necessarily haunt you or haunt a location to do that.
And I think that's all I have for right now.
Bill Davis said he has lucid dreams. I used to be able to do that.
It's a lucid dream.
What'd you say?
I wasn't gonna say it.
What did you say? I missed it.
What did you say Bill Davis has?
He said he has lucid dreams a lot.
Right. And that's what I said. I said Bill Davis is one.
Okay. That's what I thought you said. Anything on YouTube?
No, but can I ask a question that's off subject since you brought it up?
Okay.
How do you think spirit guides are chosen? I'm sorry, I kind of whipped a different question in there, but
I think it's a calling. I think some spirits it's a calling. I don't think they're chosen per se. I think that it's a calling for the spirit itself.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is it doesn't seem like in the instance of the person who just asked that question before, it can be a pact, but it has to be like a calling in life or death. And I think the choices that we're faced when we transition into the spirit realm, we can have different ways that we can choose whatever our options are. Sometimes we choose not to come back for whatever reason. Sometimes we choose to come back when we didn't think we were. So I think it's possible that most of the time it's a calling, but not all the time.
Spirit Stalker just said, "I know when you dream of a dead family members, it sometimes mean that they are going to take someone home."
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't necessarily think that happens all the time. I've dreamed of my dad quite a few times after the first one, and no one died. So it's not true all the time.
Dan Porter had a question, but you have to ask it because I can't even say that.
Let me find it. It's the ayahuasca?
Yeah, I can't say that.
All right. Ayahuasca is a root, I think is indigenous to South America. Could be wrong about that, but it contains a chemical called DMT, and it causes psychotropic effects in the human brain. And a lot of times people will report very spiritual like experiences. And I have had lots of experimentation with DMT synthetically, psilocybin, and LSD. I think it is spiritual. I think it is a way to open the third eye and to encounter the spiritual realm and other realms of perception and existence. Do I know that for sure? No, but I feel that it is true. There's a lot of cultures out there that have believed this for thousands of years, and I do not know if there's any way that I can find to dismiss that. So, yes, I believe that it's very, very possible that it is a way to unlock some type of spiritual awareness.
Robert Sanford also had a question. I know my answer to this. I want to know yours. Do you think that sleeping during nights of intense emotion, going to bed sad or angry, can have an effect on the state of your dreams?
Yes. Yep. Sure can. Happens to me all the time.
And I think that's all the questions I have for right now. They're talking about dreaming about tornadoes.
Christy, is that Christy talking about that?
No, it's Josh.
Yeah, Christy dreams about tornadoes all the time. Josh made an interesting comment, and I did know this about him. He dreamed that he left his body, and it was very profound for him, and he believed it was paranormal. Jessica, do you remember? Can you elaborate more on that?
She's like
no. Nope.
I get them. The best thing.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could remember better than I could.
No, but let me go see. I'll be right back, Justin.
She's gonna go interrogating. That's funny.
Katie Turner said, I believe that we graduate from reincarnating, then we can become guides, like spirit guides.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
She said, I lost it already. She said, I believe that we graduate from reincarnating, we then can become guides.
That's possible. If you're going to believe in that line of spiritual belief, yes, that's possible. I'm open to it. Mothman Historian on YouTube asked me about Greenbrier ghosts. The history of the Greenbrier ghosts may be one of the most unique stories in the annals of ghost lore. I think the strange tale from rural West Virginia. I'm thinking it's coming from. Greenbrier.
Yeah, we live in Greenbrier County.
Okay, what's the Greenbrier ghost? I've heard you guys talk about it once before.
Josh is coming. He's gluing some things for a dead light, so he'll be here.
Okay. I think it involves the lady.
Yeah, it was the post that you did in United Paranormal.
Zona. Like Hester, help me out, Mothman Historian. Am I right? I think
Zona Hester is what Sandy just said.
Oh, she
read the book.
Okay.
Yeah, she's actually from the Greenbrier County as well. So
okay, so
he said her grave is just a few miles away from here.
That's right. Yeah. I've heard of it. I'm sorry, I can't remember all the details of it, but I definitely know.
Jamie Hunt said, Justin, I dream of leaving my body too. I can see myself lying there, but I can't move or get back down. I am floating over myself.
Yeah, that's wild. I've never had that experience. But Josh has, so when he comes in, hopefully he feels like he wants to share that.
Yeah, he was gluing some screen down, so.
Influence
Yeah,
the screen.
Mothman said, yes, she came to her mother in a dream. He found it irrelevant to the conversation.
That's right. Yes. It is relevant. Thanks for bringing that up. Let me do a quick search on that. And I will see if I can jog my memory.
It was like an abusive relationship, and then she's I think she's buried. Josh knows more. I think she's buried like 15 minutes from here, actually.
Okay, Elva Zona Hester was born in Greenbrier County, West Virginia, sometime around 1873. Little is known about her early life or about her growing up years in the Richlands section of the county, other than she gave birth to an illegitimate child in 1895. One year, in October 1896, she met a man named Erasmus, I can't pronounce that, or also called Edward, Stribling Trout Shoe, whatever that is. He was a drifter who moved to Greenbrier to work as a blacksmith and to start a new life for himself. He went to work in the shop, James, blah, 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 blah. So I want to get to the point. This is a long story.
Mothman saying the testimony, and say Miss Sandy too, from the spirit in a dream solved the murder case.
That's right. That's it.
Murder case.
Yeah, yes. She was found. Yeah, that was the only. Yeah, it was the only time that the testimony from a spirit solved a case that I've researched. So that is really cool. So pretty much, she appeared to him in the dream and gave evidence of the murder. That's a whole nother show.
You need a hat.
All right, Josh, I'm sorry. I guess Jessica's making you talk about your outer body floating thing.
Yeah, this was years ago, and it happened quite a few times. It hasn't happened since then, but I was living at my parents' when I still lived at home, and I had started to float out of my body, and I can see myself laying there in the bed, and the bedroom and everything was set up the same, the way it actually was, and I was just kind of was standing there, but I was levitating. I was in the standing up position, but I was floating. And I remember floating through my bedroom, and there was a TV at the foot of the bed on a dresser. And I remember hitting my elbow off of the TV, and I could feel it whenever I hit my elbow on the TV. And I just kind of was floating around, and then all of a sudden I just floated through the wall and outside. And I was, my bedroom's on the second story, so I was floating that high, and I was kind of floating out toward the end of the driveway. And at first, the first couple times it happened, I was, it kind of scared me, so I could make myself shake and wake up. And the more times it happened, the more confident I got, and I just kind of let it happen just to see where I would go. But it never really lasted very long before, and I didn't float back to my body. I just kind of woke up.
Yeah, that's really crazy. So have you ever dreamt about flying or floating before that?
No, I mean, I've had dreams where I was falling. I would fall off of something, flight of steps or somewhere high, and I would wake up before I would hit the bottom. I've had instances where whatever I was sitting on would just start to vibrate, whether it was the bed or a chair, or it just kind of felt like it was just a consistent vibration. I could just barely feel it, and it was kind of odd. But Holly Mullins, I'd explained that to her before, and she had told me that I was starting to have a out of body experience. That kind of thing happens right before you leave your body. So it's kind of in a almost like a meditative state, or very comfortable, not really thinking about it.
So we're going to have to experiment now, see if you can do it again.
Yeah, it's been, gosh, I can't remember. how long it's been, but it's been a long time. Now the vibrations that I've felt, that hasn't happened in a few years. But the out of body experiences, the actual out of body experiences, it's been years.
Becky Compton wanted to know if you had a bruise on your elbow.
No, it wasn't. It just kind of brushed the TV. It wasn't. I didn't smack it or anything. It just kind of floated past it and just kind of, you walk through a doorway or something like that, and you just kind of brush your elbow on it like that.
Interesting.
Oh.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing that. I couldn't remember the exact story you told me, so appreciate you reminding and sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. Back to work.
Back to work, boy. So, any questions on Facebook? I've been trying to keep track.
Yeah, well, the only question was Becky asked, she said he uses a blow dryer on his beard because I said he must not have blow dried it this morning.
Oh man. That's wrong. Yeah, he blow dries his beard. He makes that shit look pretty. No one wants a scruffy looking beard.
And it smells good.
It's oil and fragranced oil on it. Yeah, sure. Is it possible for the paranormal spirits to have dreams as well? I believe that consciousness for spirits is very, very dreamlike. So, yes. But it's pretty much how they perceive anyway. We can see those comments, Sandy. So, yeah.
Oh, but I don't have anything else.
I'm going to have to get used to using Skype. It does some weird things. Sometimes.
Yeah, well, Sandy was having trouble with her chat. That's why she went to YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. That must be on her end. But when I'm in the screen that's sharing both your videos, I think it's doubling the audio. I'm getting two audio streams that are the same from both of you, even though it's two different sources. So when I listen back, I can tell if it's doubled or not. So I'm sorry that the show isn't on point tonight, but I'm trying to transition to Skype to see if we can get it better, but so far it needs some work. I know that it works for Necromancer if we have Missy and Jessica just on audio and use the video for our guests. It works very well that way. But I want everybody to be able to see Missy and Jess on this show. I don't know if it's going to work well or not. We're trying it out. What do you think of sleep paralysis and its relation to the paranormal? Well, that's the question, right? That's the question. I think a lot of times people have sleep paralysis. It's the mind can do very, very strange things. I wish there was a way to do some type of clinical test, but right now I don't know any yet. Or if anything's been done, or I don't know of a test. But I think that when the sleep gets so disturbed where you start becoming paralyzed, that hormone that gets released that paralyzes you doesn't diminish, that's going to cause havoc, not only on your body, but your perception too. It's going to confuse the mind, and the ability to know whether you're asleep or awake is going to be distorted. That being said, I've heard some pretty crazy stories. I've heard some people that used to think that the sleep paralysis was paranormal started to believe that it was not paranormal after the process was explained to them by doctors. And I think it just depends on what happens and who else witnesses it. Because I've heard some pretty crazy stories. So, Mothman, I just think it depends. You have to look at everything objectively. You can't say all of them are paranormal. You can't say none of them are paranormal. It just really depends. But it is very interesting to think about and talk about. Do you girls have any insight on sleep paralysis? Jess, have you ever dealt with that? Just trying to find our mute button.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't. It was so funny that Josh was explaining that, because one of the last times we were at his parents' house, I was in probably the same bedroom that he was talking about, maybe another one. He was downstairs, and I went to bed. I was really tired, and I actually was falling asleep. And I think I actually told Christy this too, because we were talking about something different. But I kind of felt, it was weird because I kind of felt myself going up, but then I would open my eyes and I wouldn't be. But I don't know if that had anything to do with anything, or if just I was overly exhausted. No idea.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I haven't experienced anything.
And Missy, you said you haven't had any, right?
No.
From what I've researched, sleep paralysis can be caused by a major disturbance in your sleep pattern, and some other psychological issues like stress and other things can bring it about. And it can also be, a legit neurological disorder that happens all the time, and you need to get treatment for it. But we're winding down. Was there any more questions in the comments that I didn't address before we wrap up?
Well, I have a question. Me and probably half of this chat, 14 people, how do you stop it? How do you block the paranormal from the dreams that you're having?
I know one way. Chemicals, drugs.
No, that makes it worse. It totally makes it worse. For me, it makes it worse.
Well, I guess so, but in general, drugs. Like, it's been reported that marijuana users do not remember their dreams. There's other chemicals and molecules out there that will inhibit your ability to remember your dreams. Now, to block out your dreams entirely, that's not even healthy. I don't even think you should do that if it is possible. But you can block out the memory of them. But if you want to filter out certain elements, you can do that metaphysically. You can concentrate on protecting yourself from negative entities or certain types of entities while you're awake before you go to sleep. And if you are good at lucid dreaming, you can do it while you're asleep. So if it's not working, if you're meditating and concentrating on the intent before you go to sleep and it still doesn't work, I would try to develop some type of lucid dreaming and then do it while you're asleep.
Becky said so she needs to smoke weed. Are you condoning that?
I'm not condoning it, but it's possible that she could block the memory of her dreams. If she's having nightmares and night terrors, that would help.
Well, she has the paranormal dreams before she goes to the location. Like,
she doesn't want to have them?
Well, there's a point where you get so exhausted that when you get to the location, you're like, okay, I have nothing. I don't even want to be here. Because I've been up for days and days, and they've told me everything that I need to know. Why do I need to be here?
Right. Yeah, I'm going to have to get back to her on that. I really haven't researched that or thought about that much because I don't have that problem.
Well, you get back to me on that one, too.
I think that you need to learn to understand the process that you're going through. I think that the reason you're having them in the dreams, and we've talked about this before, is you're regressing them while you're awake.
Right.
So if you're having a problem with the dreams, try to work on your abilities while you're awake, unlocking them, not blocking them out, so they will come to you then. So that might be a more healthy way to do them. And if Becky's having the same problem, I would just say the same thing to her.
Okay.
Dan Porter has a statement there. I was in Ireland visiting family, and one night sleeping in a house, I felt like I was sleeping, but I don't think I was. Everything was black except for a white dot that was getting bigger, like I was going towards it, almost felt like I was being suffocated. Then I couldn't go to sleep. Very weird. I used to have weird dreams like that when I was younger. Very strange dreams. Weird dreams. I remember one that it was all black, kind of like you described, and there was this like little point that used to orbit around my head. And I would have this dream constantly. And it would orbit nice and smooth, and it was very nice. And all of a sudden it would get really lumpy and really irregular. And the more lumpy and irregular it got, the more crazier it made me feel, the more uncomfortable and irritating it felt. And it got to the point where it kind of resembled like this asteroid-like shape. Okay, this is really fucking weird. I'm sorry. And once this asteroid got really weird and big, it was like torturing me at that point, and I would just wake up thinking like, what the hell, right? So the mind can be very mysterious. It works in crazy ways, and there are very unorthodox, very weird dreams out there for sure.
Becky said you may have to do a show on ways to do that, to stop the dreams.
I am not an expert psychic, but we can definitely talk about it. I can do a little bit of research. I can bring a psychic on necromancer, and we can talk about that specific topic. That's kind of what I wanted to do. While we're talking about it, and we're a little bit over schedule here, but I want to revamp necromancer. I want to start bringing on guests and like return guests that's been on there before, but talk about topics kind of like we do on Soapbox, and kind of get information, like do a Q&A with them, with not only the people in the chat asking questions, but do a specific topic like a workshop. We'll do psychic workshops, we'll do paranormal investigation workshops, we can do cryptid workshops, we can do all kinds of different things. ITC, EVP. What do you think?
I think that sounds awesome.
Instead of asking all the same questions like, oh, what happened to you when you were little? What do you do? Stuff like that. We'll just change the format, tweak it a little bit. But we are going to be taking a break. So we'll wrap it up. Girls, stand by while I do that real quick. Thanks very much for joining me tonight. Sorry for the little technical issues we were having, but I'm trying to figure out how to use Skype with the show format. But thanks for joining us. Really good questions, really good interaction. I think it's something that, it's more speculation than anything, but it's fun to talk about. I enjoy all your guys' comments, questions, and everything. So we are going to revamp Necromancer after all my guests for February are done. I have one more scheduled in March. I'm not scheduling anymore. I'm going to take a break from Necromancer. This show will not go away, and we will be doing a 2-hour soapbox show on Tuesday once a month, where it's just not about anything. We're going to lay back, talk about anything and everything, and kind of goof off and have fun at least once a month. You guys seem to really enjoy the last one we did, so expect that to come around. Necromancer will be down for at least a month. I'm going to try to finish up Portals to the Past, get that done, and then we're going to start working on Season 6, which is Interface Death Reborn. I do not know if we'll be working on a documentary this year. I really want to, but I don't have a location in mind yet. The one that we were going to do, I don't know if we're going to be able to do, but stay tuned for that. We're going to take a look at these social links. If you want to keep up to date with everything we do, I tell you guys either on the show or on the website or on social media. Check out interfacedeath.net. The link is in the description. Follow Justin Brown Paranormal Research if you're watching on YouTube. The link is down there. You can follow Interface Death on Twitter, on Instagram. Please check out the links in the description. Patreon.com/support Interface Death. Please check that out if you want to see this show stay and make it, better and better. There's a way to provide financial support and get rewards for doing so. So we'll elaborate on that here in a moment. If you're watching on Facebook, please check us out on YouTube/Interface Death Paranormal Research and hit subscribe and the notification bell. The names you see on the screen is why this content's here. Clay Borman, RJ Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Bias, Bill Davis, Joe Vitelli, Heather Elliott, General Rogue, Craig Williams, Cherry Capital, Shadow Seekers, and the Ghost Guild. All of those people are pledging on Patreon, making sure that we get the support we need. We're almost at $150 a month, and once we reach that goal, we're going to provide even more content for the Patreon supporters and the VIP subscribers on the website for live streaming. We want the patrons to see that stuff without paying the monthly subscription on the website. So once we get there, I know we're going to get there soon, we're going to have all those special things available for them. You guys have been great. Thank you very much. Again, I'm going to leave it there. Stick around for some video promotions. As always, tomorrow night we're going to be talking to Alex Matsuo. Sorry. So tomorrow night, 8 p.m. on the Necromancer Live Show Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't miss that. And we'll see you guys next time. Do you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good. Are you down there? Not afraid. We know what it feels like to walk in the darkness.
Are you in this room over here? What the fuck, dude?
Whoa.
That's weird.
You didn't do anything, right?
No, I just turned.
Justin too close.
No,
He opened that door and then went off.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you just run out of there?
Side effects of prolonged isolation: paranoia, depression, helplessness, brain stimuli,
We've never captured.
Oh, wow.